Ukraine conflict in 2021, escalation and diplomatic endeavors, from day 48 to day 60. Introduction. The Ukraine conflict in 2021 witnessed a critical phase between day 48 and day 60, characterized by escalating hostilities, intense military offensives, and efforts towards finding a peaceful resolution. During this period, the war between Ukrainian forces and Russian-backed separatists deepened, leading to devastating consequences for civilians and regional stability. This article provides a comprehensive analysis of the events and implications of day 48 to day 60, shedding light on the complexities and challenges faced during this tumultuous time in Ukraine. Day 48, August 17, 2021. As day 48 dawned, the conflict entered a new phase with significant developments on the ground. Russian and Ukrainian forces engaged in intense clashes in several regions, including Donetsk Oblast, Luhansk Oblast, and Kherson Oblast. The violence led to a surge in casualties on both sides, as well as among civilians caught in the crossfire. In the aftermath of the Mariupol counteroffensive, President Vladimir Putin accused Ukraine of violating the rights of Russian-speaking minorities in the region, using the pretext of protecting these communities to justify Russia's intervention. The Kremlin's statements further complicated diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the conflict and find a peaceful resolution. Day 48 also saw renewed international diplomatic efforts to mediate a ceasefire. The United Nations, the European Union, and other major global powers continue to engage in talks with Russia and Ukraine, seeking a way to end the violence and bring both parties to the negotiating table. The humanitarian situation in Ukraine remained dire, with thousands of civilians seeking refuge in neighboring countries. The massive influx of refugees placed additional strain on host communities and humanitarian aid organizations, underscoring the urgent need for international assistance and support. Day 55, August 24, 2021, Ukraine's Independence Day. Day 55 was a significant day for Ukraine as it marked the country's Independence Day. However, the celebrations were overshadowed by the ongoing conflict and the somber realities of war. Amidst the violence and destruction, President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the nation, emphasizing Ukraine's determination to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. The conflict's geopolitical implications deepened, with tensions between Russia and Western nations reaching a critical point. The war strained international relations and raised concerns about regional security and stability in Europe. Economic sanctions imposed on Russia by Western nations continue to impact the country's economy, leading to retaliatory measures by Moscow. The conflict also heightened concerns over energy security in Europe, prompting efforts to diversify energy sources and reduce reliance on Russian natural gas exports. The war's impact on Eastern European countries further underscored the need for regional stability and cooperation. Nations such as Poland and the Baltic states bolstered their military readiness and cooperation with NATO to counter potential threats to their sovereignty. Day 60, September 8, 2021. As Day 60 arrived, the conflict entered a crucial phase with ongoing hostilities and attempts at peace negotiations. Russian-backed separatist forces launched a large-scale offensive in Luhansk Oblast, aiming to gain control of territory Volodymyr Zelensky reaffirmed his commitment to dialogue with Russia, expressing his willingness to meet with President Vladimir Putin to find a resolution. The Normandy format, involving Ukraine, Russia, Germany, and France, saw renewed discussions to address the crisis and promote a ceasefire. The humanitarian situation in Ukraine continued to worsen on day 60, with thousands of civilians seeking refuge in neighboring countries. The conflict's toll on civilians and infrastructure became increasingly evident, emphasizing the urgent need for international assistance and support. Diplomatic efforts and international support. The period from day 48 to day 60 saw robust international efforts to find a peaceful resolution to the Ukraine conflict. The United Nations, the European Union, and the United States continued to call for an immediate ceasefire and urged both Ukraine and Russia to return to the negotiating table. President Zelensky intensified his diplomatic engagements, meeting with international leaders to garner support for Ukraine's sovereignty and urge stronger actions against Russia. The situation in Ukraine remained a matter of concern for the global community, with implications for regional stability and international relations. Humanitarian crisis and displacement. The period from day 48 to day 60 witnessed a deepening humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. Civilians faced dire circumstances, with displacement, lack of access to essential resources, and trauma being widespread among those affected by the war. The conflict resulted in significant internal and external displacement, with thousands of Ukrainians seeking refuge in neighboring countries. The influx of refugees placed additional strain on host communities and humanitarian aid organizations, underscoring the urgent need for international assistance and support. The targeting of civilian infrastructure and allegations of war crimes further exacerbated the humanitarian catastrophe. The Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders continued to provide essential aid and medical assistance to civilians, but ongoing hostilities hindered their efforts. Conclusion. The period from day 48 to day 60 in the Ukraine conflict in 2021 was a critical phase marked by escalating hostilities, diplomatic efforts, and a deepening humanitarian crisis. The violence and casualties on both sides continued to mount, leaving devastating consequences for civilians and regional stability. Diplomatic initiatives to find a resolution persisted, with the international community calling for an immediate ceasefire and renewed negotiations.